Okay, here we are again in the inventory tutorial. So last time we had placed our second activatable actor inside our game just for testing purposes, and what I want to do now is creating our first widget which is able to display the activation tooltip text on our viewport. So for this, first of all, I want to move those two test actors inside the activatable, which comes in the better sense that you know every actor inside the activatable folder is an activatable object, whatever. So what we want to do now is creating a new folder which is called UI, and inside this UI we want to create a new widget which is our GameHard widget. So this GameHard widget contains nothing for sure, and we want to be able to display tooltip texts inside it. So what we do is I create another widget. So for each element in the UI I usually create a specific title of widget, and I call it tooltip widget, which contains nothing but simple text elements. And this text widget is a variable. We call it tooltip text. Now let's do it in a proper way. Text tooltip. So now we want to be able to set that text dynamically, considering which kind of object we are overlaying with. So we go into the graph and add a new function and call it set tooltip text, which is a problem because set tooltip text is already existing inside the widget class, so I need to call it something like something else. Set text. So, and this function takes text in text, and also we have a new variable which is of type text. It's the current tooltip text. So, and whenever we call that function setText, we want to set our current tooltip text with that one. So now we are able to store the actual tooltip text we want to display. Now we need to bind this variable with the one inside the widget, inside the tooltip text tooltip. So as you can see here in content text block, we can bind it to an actual variable, and we want to select current tooltip text. So now we can call this function from the outside to set this actual text. So back to our GameHard widget, we want to actually place this tooltip widget inside our canvas panel. So just click and drop it, and yeah, let's say we place it some kind of the middle. We anchor it in the middle, and it's complaining because of something. I don't quite know why. What is this problem? Internal compiler. Try to create property. Okay, seems like I have a naming conflict here, so I call it something else here. ToolTip widget is text widget, whatever. My ToolTip. I don't want to run into any further naming conflictions. So I'll place it inside here, make it a little bit, stretch it a little. Okay. So now I have the first variable, my ToolTip. It's inside here. And yeah, now we want to create such a GameHeart widget for our player. And for this purpose I need to yeah, I think I have none here. Let's look inside the... Do we have any kind of player controller class? No. Okay, we need to create our own player controller class for this. Let's go inside the blueprints and let's make a new blueprint which is of kind player controller, and call it player controller underscore blueprint. And we want to use this player controller by default. So let's get up in the maps and modes and select the player controller blueprint as a default one to use. So let's see if this actually is working. Brilliant play print hello. Yeah, okay. So this one is now our default player controller we can work with. So on begin play we can do it something in some other manners as well, but this is just for testing here. So on begin play let's be a little bit more professional and create a new function for this. I said create GameHeart like that, and our player controller has a GameHeart reference which is of type GameHeart. And when we call that function, it will check if there is already a GameHeart reference. So let's say is valid. It doesn't matter if you use the macro or the function, but it only checks if the GameHeart reference is null or if it actually is an object, and we want to check if it is. So if we call that function and we already have a GameHeart reference, yes, we want to remove it first. Like this, remove from parent. So we won't run into any conflicts creating multiple instances of the GameHeart reference. We don't want that. And then after that we want to set it to nothing, so it is now null again. So if that is done, or if the GameHeart reference isn't actually available, we want to create it. Create widget, construct a GameHeart. The owning player are we ourselves. Then we want to set our new game HUD so we can actually access it from anywhere. And after, we want to edit to viewport. Okay. So now, if we hit play, we would see the text box showing nothing, because there isn't any text yet. Oh, we actually haven't called that function. I'm sorry. So after begin play, we want to call create game HUD. So now we should be see. No, we didn't. Why? Text block. When this one gets constructed. This is just a test now. Set text. Let's just call it ToolTip, and let's see if you actually see something on screen. Yeah, okay, ToolTip. So the actual text is of course null at start, so we haven't overlapped with anything yet, so we don't see any ToolTip, which makes sense in some kind of ways. So let's delete that again, or let's just say, if this is constructed, we want to make sure that it is showing nothing. So we set the text to nothing. So now we see nothing. Okay. So now we need the communication between when we overlap something, we need to set that ToolTip widget text. And this is done like this. Or this can be done like this. On component begin overlap, we get the actual activation ToolTip text and print it on screen. What we want is we want to set the ToolTip text widget. Yeah, to actually do this, there are many different ways to do this now. Let's do it in a simple way. Yeah, okay, now I know. Okay, let's go back to the player controller, give it a new function and set on pawn overlap. So on pawn overlap, the pawn overlaps with something and it notices the player controller, and that is overlapping something. Yeah, I guess we can do this do it like this. On overlap, we tell our controller that we are overlapping with an actor, and we want to know which actor it is. Actually, I guess we might. Yeah, we can really do it. So we are overlapping with an Activatible object, and so first of all we want to call that function now. So we delete this. We want to get owning get player controller. No, not this one. Owner, get owner. Yeah, I want to get the owner of this actor here and check if it's a player controller. So we try to cast it into a player controller blueprint. There might be an AI controller as well, so we want to make sure it is a player controller. So if the cast was a success, we want to call our newly created function on pawn overlap. Oh, I can't cast it to the Activatible, I guess. Oh, really? Normally in C++ you would overgive this object as an Activatible object, but for some reason it is not possible in Blueprint, it seems. So we need to go back to the player controller on pawn overlap and just say this is an actor we are overlapping with. So now back to the third person player controller and move that actor we are overlapping with to our player controller. Okay. Now we are here. So now we want to set our ToolTip text. So we use the GameHard reference and want to get the ToolTip get my ToolTip, which is a widget we placed inside the canvas panel, and here we want to set the text. So one moment. I guess it should work inside the blueprint like this. Want to call this get activation ToolTip message. In case this activatable is not of kind or does not implement this activator interface, it shouldn't fire off, or returning null at least. So let's see if that works. No, it's not. Why it isn't? Okay, let's do some debugging. Okay. Okay, it seems it's not a player controller we are processing. So we need to check that cast here. So okay, let's check what kind of object is returning here. So what do we have here? Current value is none. So a third person character has no owner, which is not right, because we are controlling it as a player controller. Well, let's see. I really don't want to use that function, as I want to get the actual controller which possess this character here, and I'm not quite sure why it's not a player controller. Get owner, get character owner, get pawn owner. No, that's not right here. Get player controller, okay, let's see what comes here. Get owner. This is some kind of debugging as usually, and we want to print that one, print string. I want just to make sure if it's really the owner of this one here. Print. Okay, so it seems really that a third-person character isn't possessed by a controller, which is strange. Let's check the project settings. Default pawn class here, and the default player controller class is a player controller BP. And let's say what we are having on begin play. Get pawn, get control pawn, print that. Oops. Print string. Get display name. Now I'm curious what it will display. Okay, it's really printing out third-person characters, so we have an owner, but for some reason our third-person character doesn't tell me that it has an actor. The target is self, which is right. Get display name. So let's move on by like this. I will check that out without the screencast after I did this video here, but normally this one should not fail here. Player controller blueprint does not inherit player pawn blueprint. Oops, I'm sorry. Get player controller. Sure. So this should not fail here. I am a test actor. Here we have it. Okay, so now we are able to actually communicate between our pawn, our controller, and the game HUD widget. I will check the issue out with the player character now. So I hope I can give some clearance in the next video part. So see you then.